Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Go.
You already know what it is. What's up, folks? We're
What's
jumping
up?
on
What's
today
up?
because we are in utter crisis in terms of
Yeah.
where we are in the country, and so it's only right that we come on, give you guys some information on voting rights, especially voting rights in the South. And so to set the stage, the original Voting Rights Act of 1965 it established the effects test. You didn't have to prove a legislature intended to be racist. You only had to prove their maps had the effect on diluting minority communities, meaning that if your community was diluted, you had the opportunity to say the things and do the things in order to make sure that you were going to be represented in Congress, right? And
Yep.
so, in knowing that, knowing the original intent behind the 1965 Voters' Rights Act, and to know where we are now, right?
hmm
What are your initial thoughts?
It's the wildness of, as I got older and I matured in life, I recognized that both intent and impact mattered, right?
Mhm.
And I can not intend to hurt someone's feelings, but if I hurt someone's feelings, I still have to make repair. I still have to do something about this. And I think that's what the Voting Rights Act was intending to do, right? It was like you may or may not have intended to gerrymander and create racially divided lines and scatter the vote of Black folks in the South, but that is what happened. That is the impact, and therefore you have
Yeah.
to do something differently about it. And so,
Mhm.
like, my opinion is, I feel like we continue to sort of roll back on recognizing impact. That intent is the only thing that supposedly matters now. And
Very difficult to it's very difficult to prove intent.
you can't prove intent, right? Because someone will just be like, no, I didn't mean that, and then suddenly, like, I'm not in their brain.
Yeah.
And so in a world where intent doesn't matter, or you can't prove intent,
Mhm.
everything is legal,
Yeah.
everything is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazy. And so we got the original Voting Rights Act, and then we have Section 4 being broken down are being struck down by the Supreme Court in 2013. You got Shelby County versus Holder in 2013. This ended pre-clearance, which previously required states with a history of discrimination, mostly in the South, to get federal approval before changing any voting laws or maps, right?
Yeah.
And so basically, you had to federally approved in order for you to change maps that were
Yep.
also changed like every 10 years or whenever the census took place,
Yeah,
right?
as connected to the census. That's the typical process. We do a census, and then at the in the years leading up to that census, they start to draw new maps. States haggle over this for months and months and years. Sometimes I've been a part of that process in the past, and it takes a lot of effort to draw those lines, and you always get funny business when you're doing those lines, right? The party in power wants to stay in power, so they're trying to make the lines more aligned with them. You get horse trading, like, we'll give you this district and these streets if you give us this district and these streets. And
Yeah.
so, like, that happens a lot.
Mhm.
But it is never meant to purposefully, it was, in my experience, never meant to purposely disenfranchise a
Yeah.
community of people.
This
And
is
I feel
different.
like
What's happening now is different.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
different.
Mhm. Um, and so in thinking about the original rationale behind Louisiana versus Calais, is that they had gerrymandered and broke it down to only one representing district or one
Mhm.
representative coming out of the state of Louisiana. Louisiana was like, nah, that's not fair. We're 1/3
Mhm.
black in the state, which means that we should equivalently have
Yeah.
two representatives. And so, based off of those numbers, we're going to take it to the Supreme Court in order to get this substantiated, so we could have two. And
Yep.
so, it's kind of like a gift and a curse. It's like you have people that are out here advocating for the right to vote, doing the right thing, wanting to do their public service by going out to vote and do those things, and then you get penalized by but so even in talking about these court cases, right? It's like we have to
Yes.
set this up in a manner to where people understand that when you don't vote, there's fucking consequences for when you don't vote.
Yeah. There's consequences for when you don't vote. And I also think that, because for so many years the civil rights movement benefited from a Supreme Court that was moving and progressive. I think we thought that because the Supreme Court handled it, that it was case law, right? And so if new cases came up, all the Supreme Court had to do was look at the old law and be like, well, this is what this is, right?
Yes.
But the reality is that the Supreme Court is a group of 9 individuals, like any other group of 9 individuals, and they bring forth their policy preferences and their racial preferences and all the baggage they come with as humans.
Yeah.
And so they're not making decisions based on law. They're making decisions based on belief and then finding the law to support their decision. And
Yeah.
so when you have that sort of situation, no law is safe. Nothing that has been found by the Supreme Court is permanent. Nothing is sort of forever, because as that body changes, the way they want to interpret the law will change as well.
So here's what I will say about that, right? My campaign ideology is that we need to listen to women, right? We
Yeah.
need to listen to women, and here's why, right? If we had listened to women, we wouldn't be in any of this shit that we're in now, right? And I'm gonna take it back.
Did my wife say to tell you to say that? She sent you a text. She was like, "Listen."
Yeah, well, my wife said it too. And so here's the thing, right? So we listened to Dr. Anita Hill when she said that she was sexually harassed by Clarence Thomas. If we listen to all of the women that said that they were harassed by Clarence Thomas, then we wouldn't have any Clarence Thomas problem right now. In 2016, had we just voted for Hillary instead of finding excuses to not vote for a woman, like, oh, she called us deplorable. You are fucking deplorable. She was right. And what you're doing now proves that she was right, right? Disclaimer, fine, whatever. That's why I put the screen on me. And then in 2024, had we listened to Kamala, because Kamala said, she was like, bro, he's going to take us to war. He's about to do all kinds of shit. And then what did he do? He played the Jedi mantra. He was everything that she said that he was going to do. He then said, "Oh no, she's going to do that."
That's right.
And where are we?
No, you're right. I also think this follows a lot with other things that we've been seeing in the past year, right? Like, I think there are people who genuinely believe that because they can't see a problem, that problem has been solved, right? And so, people stop taking the measles vaccine because we eradicated measles. Why do I should put a vaccine in my body when nobody has measles? And what are we seeing? Measles making a resurgence, right? Yeah. And like
coronavirus.
And so it's like this thing that you forgot that the safeguards are put in place to keep us safe. And just because something appears to be like not visible doesn't mean it's still not there, right? And so the justices will say, the majority opinion was like, the Voting Rights Act was established at a time where we were just coming out of a civil rights movement. There was obviously disenfranchisement of Black citizens happening, and so we needed it. But we have made such progress. All you have to do is look at Congress and look how diverse Congress is. We've made such progress that we no longer need these structures to exist. That's sort of the premise of the argument that was made. And it's, and I keep thinking like, we no longer need the measles vaccine. It's gone. And now here we have these measles issues again. And it's because they think if they can't see it, it doesn't exist anymore. But those of us who know that that's out there, it's still out there. And I don't know whether that's
also you got to care about, Steve, you got to care about people, right? Like if you care about people, then even if you're insular from seeing these things, you're still going to see them because you care about people. And if you're with the people, working for the people, then it's kind of like you can't not see this.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we are seeing a wild degradation of citizens' voting rights. And Black citizens' voting rights and Latino citizens' voting rights, all of this craziness around redrawing of lines, the very fact that it is perfectly okay to redraw lines. You can't do it on racial.
The early voting had already started,
and they canceled the
election.
This
guy comes in, cancels the whole election. You got mail-in votes coming in from overseas or whatever, and this guy comes in and he's like, "Hey, time out. We're gonna stop this. Do the racial thing, and then." So the most glaring issue that I have out of all of this, right, is
Yeah.
that you have an elder statesman in South Carolina, in James Clyburn, right?
Yep.
He damn near saved America based off of how it looked in
Yeah.
2020 with Biden, with him
Yeah.
coming down and basically coordinating Biden to then successfully run a good campaign and beat Trump, right? This man is now going to he's going to be gerrymandered out of like, bro.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the history books, it's like, yo, history is not gonna.
No. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. And the other problem is that, like, this isn't something that, people are like, well, we if we have a different Congress, we have a different president, we can put things back in place. This is going to take generations to fix. This doesn't get fixed overnight, right?
No,
This
sir.
is
No, sir. That's where you're wrong. No, sir. This is where we part ways and we disagree. Screen on me. Screen on me. Anybody from the Democrat side that is running for president that is not saying that they want to pack the court up to 13, you're not getting my vote. Don't even talk to me. I don't even want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear nothing from you. You can't say nothing to me. All I want to hear is pack the court. It's the only way to neutralize this foolishness, bro.
No, but then, I mean, that's an arms race that never gets away, because then the other side gets in, and then they pack the court to 15, and then next person, and suddenly we have 175 people on the Supreme Court, and it's another Congress.
I'd rather have 175 people than to have these 6 dumbasses that we got right now. I'd rather have 175.
Well, what we should do, a simple way to do this is to say, you know what, it is a really important role, but you're going to have a term limit.
Yes.
Right.
Term limit
that
on the
is
Supreme Court.
Like, that is the way to do this, because then you have mandatory turnover. You don't wait for these people, some of whom are who should have retired years ago and been off on a beach someplace.
Yes.
And so if we were
calling
able
her
to
name out.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if we were able to say 2 things. One, I've always believed we have a minimum age to hold public office in this country.
Yeah.
We should have a maximum age to hold public office in this country. And so,
Yeah.
like, that feels really critical. And we should have term limits across the board.
But is that being ageist?
I don't think it's being ageist. I don't think at all. These are, like, the purpose of government is to establish, right? Is to help establish the future longevity of this organization. If most of your life is behind you, you have a different point of view than if most of your life is in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm an old man now. I'm 50. I'm starting to get into that realm. But also, isn't it ageist to have a minimum age, right? We said you can't be president until you're 35, right? So we're not above being ageist.
Yeah.
I just want us to be ageist on both sides of the equation, because I don't know that's not to say there aren't people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s who aren't with it, who aren't exceptional, who aren't amazing.
Yeah.
But what it is to say is that, they maybe don't have the future in their sort of vision the way we need our politicians to have their future in the vision.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, so then we go to the partisan shield evolution. We got RUCO versus Common Cause in 2019. The court ruled that partisan gerrymandering is a political question that federal courts cannot fix. They created a loophole. If a state legislator draws a map that looks racially biased, they can claim they were simply targeting Democrats who happen to be minority voters rather than black voters. And so that right there is the crux of the matter, right? Because we want to say that things aren't political, but in actuality they are, because when you look at these southern states, the majority of folks that are black, that identify as black, usually vote Democrat, right? But now giving you this escape clause by saying that, oh, well, not all black people vote Democrat, right? Because you got the 1 or 2 black MAGAs, and and that's a way to substantiate this foolishness.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I think the other people, I mean, that is the argument that they use for immigration too, right? Oh, Democrats want immigration because they want more Democratic voters, right? And things like that. That is all of this comes down to politics and power, and how do we keep power? I mean, I see the Supreme Court, making this decision. I see states redrawing lines as the adult version of that kid you play basketball with who got mad that they were losing and took their ball and went home, right?
Yeah.
If they can't win, if they can't control, then they're not going to play or they're going to cheat. And so that's what they're doing right now, right? They're rigging the system so that they get to keep their power. But we've
But
got to
don't
remember that
other
power
people don't
doesn't
see
seed
that?
itself.
Other people
Of
don't
course
see
they
that?
see it. Of course they
So
do.
here's where I'm at with this, right? If you see this and you continuously allow it to happen,
Yep.
then you're the problem.
Yep.
You are a part of the problem. Like there's no way you can wash your hands of this and absolve yourself of this when you
Yep.
see what's happening and you're doing nothing about it.
Yep.
So I think that these elections, this blue wave that should be happening, that historically I don't know that happens now.
It's not. I don't know. I mean, this is why these changes are happening so that it doesn't happen, right? I mean, and they're not hiding the ball. You've heard the president say, you've heard high elected officials say that, that it's necessary for them to do some of this redistricting in order to stay in power, and so they understand that this is the game that's being played. And
you know where else this was at? You know where else this was printed prior to the 2024 election? Yeah. You know it. Project 2025.
I know.
When it's like when the opposing team says here's my playbook.
Here's our playbook.
here's my playbook. Right? It's like the Sixers. The Sixers saying, hey, we're just going to Embiid. Stop him.
We're gonna drop the ball into Embiid, and your job is to not foul your team out trying to stop him. Yeah.
So it's like they gave you the playbook, and then it's like I haven't seen it, but we've been on this show and we've said, hey, we need a Project 2029, and we need folks out here strategizing and thinking big picture, thinking long range, because these folks are playing the long game, and here it is, we're playing for November. Like, no, hell no, I want to play the long game too.
Yeah, I want to play the long game too, but I want to like. This goes down to your point around voting. This gets down to like this is able to happen because for years, you and I are both registered Republicans. For years, the strategy of the Republican Party for years was to take over state houses, right? Was to win at the state level and control state legislatures
so that
because they can redraw lines. Like this was the play, right?
Bro,
and so
it's chess.
Yeah. It absolutely is. It's three-dimensional chess, to be honest with you, because that is a long way. That is a long time to wait. That is a long game that they're playing. That's a game that got played, and now you've got to sort of fight it on both ends at the national level and at the state level.
Yeah. So we got Bronowich versus the DNC in 2021. The court narrowed Section 2 of the Voter Rights Act, making it much harder to challenge state voting rules like mail-in ballots restrictions by ruling that modest burdens on minority voters are legally acceptable. So basically, I can just do whatever the hell I want as long as it's minimal burden on marginalized people.
Yeah. Making polling places hard to get to, only having a few machines in those polling places so they have to wait on lines. Water, not allowing water to be handed out. Yeah. I mean, this is when people say they can't stay in politics, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah, because listen, if you so I got a couple theories here, right? So like if you're gonna have this type of restrictive, punitive politics, then we don't need the electoral college. Like I want my vote to count just like everybody else's vote.
One person, one vote. That's it.
Yeah, one person, one vote, and then that'll solve all of this.
Well, the other thing that'll solve it too is, to be completely honest with you, if we just, I hate to say this because then people get mad, but I've always been a believer in the parliamentary system, in the idea where you walk into a community, right, and they vote, and if 30% of the people who vote for the Green Party, then 30% of the seats in that house go to the Green Party, right? It truly, the legislators is a true reflection of the community, but we've got two parties, right? And that's really all that has like you get an independent here and there, but we're playing a two-party system. And so what you have to do then is sort of fight at these levels and join forces with people you maybe don't disagree with in certain cases. And
Yeah.
so we have these weird fights where gerrymandering will actually have a huge impact because we're not actually dealing with the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is that we only have a two-party system, and that's what's causing the mess that we have right now.
Yeah. So then we got Alexander versus South Carolina, NAACP in 2024. This is a turning point. The court ruled that when race and politics are highly correlated, as they are in the South, challengers must provide an alternative map that proves the state's goals could have been achieved without race. It effectively gives states the presumption of good faith.
Yeah.
I don't believe in none of these people. None of these people, politicians in the South, bro. I mean, like it's the same thing. Like they're able to operate. They're able to operate without the sheets, and they're not doing it. Like I saw. Like I don't know if you've been on socials, but the way that these folks are posturing down in Nashville, right? For example, walking out, with their chests out. Walking out with their faces like, oh, we did this to you and whatnot, right? And like having to see these good folks from Memphis, like, giving them the business as they should, because they're not going to be disenfranchised because the world just has animosity towards Black folks.
Yeah. And winning is seen as something that is the ultimate goal, right? Yeah. Rather than living in community.
Yeah. Which begs the question, like, who are these people? like really, because like I don't mind. Like I'm never gonna. Listen, if you're a good politician, regardless if you're Democrat, regardless if you're Republican, and our views align in terms of like how I think the future should be for my kids, for other people's kids, and it's something that's like reasonable, then I'm going to vote for you, right? Like it's never going to be this partisan hacking the way that it is now, because I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
No. And I also think we need to move away from, I'm constantly amazed. And whenever you look at polls for Congress, you always see a weird trend. Like everybody, if you ask them about Congress as a body, everybody hates Congress. Congress's positivity numbers are always crap.
In the 20s.
But if you ask people how they feel about their representative, it's always really high, right? So it's like everybody sucks except for my person, because the woman who represents my district is amazing, and everyone else is the problem. But we have a real problem in Congress.
You cannot be in Louisiana and have Kennedy as your senator and say favorable things about this guy. Like when gas, I'll give you a perfect example. When Biden was in power, right? Gas was $3.30-something, right? And it was hell to pay. Oh my, Biden's this, he's this, 86-46 or whatever the hell they was talking about, right? And all these things, right? Bro, gas is $4.50. He's like, oh, this is the cost of war. Like a war, we never wanted a war that he didn't even bring to you to say, hey, can you approve this, me going to war?
And it gets even worse. He's like, well, presidents can't really control the price of gas. And I was just like, time out.
You just put a whole 2 years of burden on Biden for every talking point that you had, talking about, oh, gas, he controls. Yeah. But bro, here's the thing, right? I ask you this question, and then we'll come back to Louisiana versus Callais. Bro, is the strait open or closed? Is the straight?
It's like, that theory in physics. You ever heard of Schrodinger's cat?
Yeah.
The theory, right? Where the cat can be thought of both alive and dead at the same time. So that's how I think of the strait. It can be thought of as both open and closed at the same time.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, right? We out in the woods, right? And you got a Daisy 880 BB gun. And I got one of them clock Johns. Well, I got a Daisy 880 BB gun, and we throw the white flag out, right? And we're like, hey, ceasefire, no more firing. The war is over between me and you, right? Ray and Steve's war is over, right?
It's over. We finished our war.
And then you shoot, and then I shoot. Don't that mean the ceasefire's over?
No, the worst part about it is that even if we're not shooting each other.
Yeah.
One of us is still shooting somebody else all over like, so we're just standing on the side. And so it's crazy, right? Like it's still conflict, it's still war, and we've got to, it's not over. Obviously, it's not. Uh, they're still fighting. And I don't know. Gas was I drove past the gas here in Florida. I'm here for a conference, and it was like five and change.
Bro, 5 and change is crazy work, bro. Like 5 and change to the American people. Like if you're paying $5 and change for gas, and come uh November, I don't give a shit how much they gerrymander, how much they do draw these lines or do whatever, right? If you voting for the party that is costing you $5 in gas, the prices that are supposed to be in the grocery store that was supposed to be lowered on day one are higher than they've ever been, and then you continue to vote for this pain, then you deserve this pain.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm not accepting anybody's mea culpa on. You have some of these folks with podcasts who are like, oh, I didn't know this is going to
No,
be happening with my
you knew.
vote. And
You knew.
whether or not you knew or not, there are consequences to your decisions, and you have to pay the
Absolutely.
consequences of your decisions.
Yeah.
Uh, and once you can admit that that, we can have a conversation, but you can't run away from it. This is the intent and impact, right? We were talking about how we started. I didn't intend for this to happen, but it's happening, and you have to identify that you are part of the reason why this impact is happening on the rest of the country.
So we'll jump into Louisiana versus Callais to close it out, because I feel like we've done a good job with like staying in sequence in terms of just
Yeah.
running through the voting rights from 65 to now. It says the ruling on April 29, 2026, shit feels like yesterday.
Yep.
In a 6-3 decision, the court ruled that Section 2 of VRA requires proof of intentional racial discrimination. The impact is this effectively killed the effect test. It's no longer enough to show the map
Mhm.
wipes out black political power. Plaintiffs must now show a smoking gun, like an email or a transcript or a sheet from a meeting of the Klan or whatever, right? And so now it's created a double standard. And while the court previously ruled in Allen versus Milligan 2023 that Alabama had to create a second black majority district, the Callais ruling suggests that states can now dismantle those same districts if they can frame the move as a partisan necessity.
Yeah, because the civil rights movement won.
Yeah.
We no longer have racism. We no longer have discrimination. And so we don't need these tests anymore.
Yeah.
That's the false assumption that this is all based on, or at least that is the rationale being given as a false assumption. Um, it's crazy. I don't know how you prove someone's intent, right? Like, how do you get what's in somebody's mind when they're doing something?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, bro. Closing thoughts, man. It's a heavy show.
Here's a heavy show. Closing thought, man. Elections have consequences, and what they can't take away from you is your ability to get out every November and cast your vote and vote for what you believe in. And so, don't further let your vote be suppressed because you don't think it matters. It matters on so many different levels. It matters locally. It matters nationally. I truly believe you got to get out of there and do that work. It's part of being a good citizen. It's also part of the reason why I'm so committed to this work of education. I believe that the work of education is about maintaining a strong democracy, and so I feel like the work that we do is even more important than it's ever been about maintaining this country's healthy democracy.
Yeah. All right. My closing thought. I'm gonna start off this way. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG, should have stepped down prior to that election, right? She should have stepped down, and a lot of this conversation that we're having right now is probably mute conversation because it just would have been better for the country. I think that staying on board was selfish. But that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with that. Secondly, we got Philadelphia tonight. We got OG out with a
Ugh.
hamstring injury, but I feel like we can still put this together. I feel like if Jordan Clarkson is D'ing up and coming in with a whole lot of energy. If Miles McBride, who will probably start on behalf of OG, is harassing their guards and making sure that he's containing them, we got a good shot at going up 3-0. Regardless if we go up 3-0 or not, Philly, get ready, because I'm probably going to be in those stands in the nosebleeds on Sunday. So get ready. Get ready.
Get
Philly
ready.
fans don't like New York fans. And
Listen, that's a
I'm
bad place to be. They don't play off in Philly either, man.
Hey, I'm
So
going down there with a squabble up attitude. So if you hear about me on the news, like, yo, you hear this college professor, yo, he beat somebody up. Yeah, that was me. I did that.
That's you.
I put hands on somebody real quick. Pop, 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 pop. All right, folks. Hopefully America does not burn and perish by next Friday. But if not, we'll see you next Friday, bringing you the real. Hey.
Squabble up.